Hello world, and all who inhabit it. My name is SteviiLove. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are starting our crystal mini-series. I have been trying to do today's video for, no joke, almost 2.5 weeks. At least 2 weeks, almost 2.5. I ran into this issue because when I was discussing how they are used, I realized that it seemed very incomplete. So, to change that, today is simply going to be a basic introduction. I'm going to go over some of the history behind crystals, why they're used, and then I'm going to briefly touch upon how they're used. However, I will be expanding on how they're used in later videos, going into proper detail and depth. That way, nobody is left in the dark, and people who want to know more can get said knowledge, because one of my main goals is to educate people on this channel. Before I get into today's video, I do have two disclaimers. First and foremost, anybody, regardless of their religious background or non-religious background, can use crystals the same way that us Wiccans do. It's not restricted to Wiccans only. There are tons of people from all different kinds of backgrounds who use crystals the same way that us Wiccans do. Like I said, this is not strictly a Wiccan thing. Anybody can. Crystals are not positive or negative until you decide. They are neutral up until you give them said energy. My second disclaimer is, even though we will not be thoroughly discussing crystal healing, I will mention it briefly a few times. So I do think it's important to note that crystal healing is never to be used as a replacement for modern medicine. I've seen a few people online who are under the impression that it's not. Crystal healing is a supplement to modern medicine, especially when modern medicine is needed. Basically, you use them together to get the most effective results, kind of like in any spellcraft or magical working. Now that that's out of the way, before we get into the video itself, I do have today's featured art. This is Blacephalon, or UB Burst, from Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon. Eli did this yesterday. He had no reference picture, and this is all from memory. He did someone's rendition of an ideal shiny in his own rendition, and he did wonderful. This is a masterpiece. If you Google this Pokemon, you will find that they look very similar. It is almost spot on. Bravo, little man. I'm very, very impressed with that. So, it's time to get into the main topic of this video. Crystals are like people. And when I say crystals, in this video, I mean crystals, minerals, rocks, and gemstones. All. I'm just condensing them into one word. Anyways, crystals are like people. Each one is unique and gives off its own special energy. Crystal energy can be used in every aspect of your life for any reason. One reoccurring theme you're going to notice is the fact that there are simply no limits when it comes to crystals. Whatever crystal chooses to present itself to you is the crystal that you need at that particular moment in your life, even if you aren't aware. This is smoky quartz, and it presented itself to me again a few days ago because I really needed it. And I'm just going to tell you now, it definitely helped. So, I really want to mention that crystals choose the people and not the other way around. The first historical references of crystals being used in a magical formula goes all the way back to the ancient Sumerians. It's pretty fair to say that as long as we have existed as a species, we've had an affinity for crystals. The ancient Egyptians loved crystals. They used them for a really wide variety of reasons, such as healing, protection, cosmetic, fashion, amulets and talismans, and their metaphysical properties. For cosmetic purposes, they would take galena, which is an iron ore, and they would grind it into a nice fine powder and turn it into the eyeshadow known as kohl. Malachite and Lapis Lazuli were both used in a very similar fashion. Cleopatra herself loved using Lapis Lazuli as an eyeshadow, which is why she had blue eyes, making her have one of the most expensive eyeshadows in the world. Lapis Lazuli was also used to bring enlightenment, typically worn by noble royal women, Cleopatra herself included. They would use stones such as topaz and, one second, I can't find it, hold on a sec. Sorry about that, I have a few out for example purposes, but they would use stones such as topaz and black obsidian to purge or banish evil spirits. My ring turned. They would use peridot to calm night terrors, and they would use jade to signify the hearts of the deceased, and these were typically included in burials. Jade itself is known as a lucky stone, and this has been from ancient times, even in some parts of the world today. Jade itself used to, like in the Maoris as recent as 250 years ago, they would pass this down from male generation to male generation as the male in the family would pass on. In ancient China, jade and crystals themselves were really valuable. Jade being a very symbolic thing for the Chinese people. Some emperors around 1,000 years ago were actually buried in jade armor, whereas people from the same time period in Mexico have been found buried in jade masks. Considering their limited communication, that's pretty astounding. Not gonna lie. So, the ancient Greeks are actually responsible for a lot of what we know about crystals today. Their properties, their names, what we attribute them with, all of that, for the most part, comes from Greek origin. The word crystal itself is derived from the ancient Greek word for ice. It is said that when the ancient Greeks first encountered clear quartz, such as this, they thought that it was ice. But they thought that it was ice that was frozen so deeply that it would remain solid forever. And looking at this piece of clear quartz in its raw state, I can definitely see what they mean. I kind of thought it was ice too, but I was like, this is the wrong time of year. So, then you have stones like amethyst, which I also have on my necklace, which are the not drunken stone, or as scholars put it, the stone of sobriety. The ancient Greeks would wear amethyst to keep themselves from getting wasted, or prevent themselves from getting a hangover, which I think is pretty funny, actually. Especially considering amethyst is attributed to the third eye, and enlightenment, and clairvoyance, and psychic intuition, and all that stuff. So, the word hematite is derived from the Greek word for blood, due to what happens to the stone when it oxidizes. When it oxidizes, it develops a crimson color, which looks like blood. And hematite is associated with Ares, the god of war. Soldiers in ancient Greece would either rub hematite all over themselves before battle, or wear it into battle with them to prevent any fatalities from occurring. And then you had Greek sailors who would wear talismans and amulets of all different kinds of crystals to prevent themselves from getting lost at sea or shipwrecked, to help them return safely, etc. Now, why do we use crystals? In short, it's because of the power they hold. They're a mineral capable of transmitting and or amplifying vibrational energy, and used as a tool for numerous reasons like healing, magic, spellcasting, inspiration, uplifting, balancing and grounding yourself and your chakras, calming and energizing, and so on. Light candles, they play a pretty big role in most Wiccan rituals. They're used in magic because of their power to conduct magical energy. Basically, when you're working with a crystal, your energy, intent, and power are focused into the crystal, blending with the magical properties that the crystal already holds. In turn, this combined energy makes spells and magical working so much more powerful. Again, there's really no limit as to why. So, how do we use them? Like I said, this is going to be very brief, but I will expand in future videos. So, if you have any information or anything, feel free to let me know so I can include that in my later videos. Basically, the first thing that happens is we have to cleanse or charge a new crystal. I'm going to do a video about this stuff too, because it deserves its own video, but there's so many ways to do it. Second is what crystal you want to use, why you want to use it, how you want to use it, and what you expect. Basically, this varies from person to person, but here are some of the most popular ways that crystals are used. They're used by sleeping near or with them, meditating with them. Alright, as I was saying, they can be used by sleeping with or near them, meditating with them. You can use them in spell work, to cleanse yourself, unblock, ground, balance your chakras, to celebrate the Sabbats or the lunar and solar cycles, as a contributor has told me, in divination, as a crystal ball, or as a pendulum. You can even use them with tarot cards to get a more enhanced reading. You can use them to represent the elements on your altars or in rituals. You can use them, you can carry them with you basically to draw their properties onto yourself, or you can even use a wand to direct the energy to a certain area, or a grid to direct the energy towards a certain goal. There really is no limit to how they're used. Like I said, these are just some of the most popular. Anyways, that is it for today's video. That wraps it up. Like I said, I'm going to expand on this in future videos, the how they're used part, so let me know if there's anything you want to add or that I should add. Anyways, if you liked this video for any reason, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If for any reason you didn't, though, give it a thumbs down. Maybe let me know why in the comments down below. If you're not yet subscribed, you can tap my face. It'll pop up here somewhere at some time. If you are subscribed, make sure to tap the bell down below so you never miss when I upload. If you want to see some of my personal favorite crystals that I have, my Instagram, Facebook, and Pagans and Witches Amino page is where they are. All of my social media, though, are linked in the description down below. If you'd like to see a video of all of my crystals, let me know in the comments. And as always, I'm SteviiLove. I hope you have a fantastic day. And until next time, peace.